Good evening, everybody from Prescott, Arizona. This is our Tuesday evening gentle yoga class. My name is Celeste Holly, and I'm really happy to be here this evening to do a little yoga with y'all and get centered in our bodies and our breath, to hopefully feel a little more relaxed and stretched out at the end of our practice this evening. And I want to start off with a little teaching from a deck of cards that I picked up last week when I was in Moab, Utah. And the cards are by and I'm going to mess up her name, but Pima Chodron, her compassion cards. And this deck is not new. However, I think she kind of boxed it, renewed it a little bit. And they kind of popped out at me at a bookstore that we were visiting while we were there. And so I just want to share the card that I pulled this evening. It says, train without bias in all areas. It is crucial always to do this pervasively and wholeheartedly. And this would be from the 48th. She is taking this from the 59 cards representing the full set of Lejong teachings for daily inspiration and contemplation. So this is number 48 of those 59. I'll say it again. Train without bias in all areas. It is crucial always to do this pervasively and wholeheartedly. And the commentary on that statement, it is important to include everyone and everything that you meet as part of your practice. They become the means by which you cultivate compassion and wisdom. So I like that card, especially for yoga, because when we cultivate our practice and include all the parts of it, from the breath to the stretch to the holding of the pose, and if we do that wholeheartedly, we can start to cultivate compassion and wisdom both into our yoga practice and into areas of our life off of the mat. I like that a lot because I have found that yoga for me allows me to get settled into my body, and settling is also one of those teachings that allow us to let go of what's going on around us and be centered in ourselves. So as we move tonight, maybe kind of having some points of concentration or points of insight or reflection as you move and breathe and settle, and see what comes up for you in those areas of being compassionate and wise with your body and possibly in the areas that come off of your mat. So we'll get started. And if you have handy a strap or a scarf or a tie, your husband's tie or your partner's tie, or a rope or whatever for using for a prop, we also could have a pillow or a yoga block handy. And what else? A blanket if you find yourself getting cool during the quieter part of our practice during Shavasana. Just some things to have handy for this practice. And we'll start out in a seated pose. So coming to seated and stacking one foot in front of the other. Maybe gently close the eyes. And start to notice the breath. Noticing each inhale and each exhale. And as you breathe, let that breath lengthen. The inhale becoming maybe a 6-count inhale, and the exhale a 6-count also. And as you do that, you might notice that there is that settling. that the shoulders relax a little bit more, that the jaw softens. You may notice an unwinding of tension in the belly. You may notice a quieting of the thoughts in the head or in the mind. So this type of breathing is a great way to bring in some self-care if you've had a stressful day. If you've had a lot going on, or maybe every sound seems too loud, just come into these long, deep breaths. And it can flow through your nose, or it can flow through the nose and the mouth. Just let it be steady and as even as you can. Let's take a couple more of these breaths. And take a nice deep breath in. And exhale it through the mouth as forcefully as you can. And do 2 more of those. Inhale. Exhale it out. Last one. Breath in. Let it all go. Maybe notice that space between the shoulders. Is it a little more relaxed? Has it released? Some of the tension is gone. Maybe the jaw is a little bit looser. Belly a little softer. So that's settling. But allowing of all the thoughts and activities and tension dropping like sand through the glass of water, coming down to the bottom, clearing the fluid all around you. And take a deep breath in. Exhale, let the chin drop down towards your chest, letting that chin sink, getting a stretch into the back of the neck, along the muscles alongside the cervical spine. Letting go of the tension of the day, whatever that may be, whether sitting at your desk all day and working, or driving in a car with someone who thinks they live in New York, Dana, and any other thing that might be resting in those spaces. I was driving with Dana today and I was the driver. I think I made her a little nervous. And so, yeah. So also for the driver who thinks they have to drive so fast. Just let that go. Inhale, extend a little more through the neck. Exhale, let the chin drop. And then inhale, drop right ear over to right shoulder. Letting that chin maybe rock back a little bit. And then exhale, drop it back down towards the chest. And inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And exhale, drop that chin down. We'll just move side to side. Warming up these muscles. Gently giving them a nice stretch and release. Take an inhale, looking straight ahead. And if the eyes are closed, open them gently, looking around you, kind of waking up the brain. And you can look over your right shoulder. Still stretching into these muscles. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, look over the opposite side. And then coming back to center. And I've been sitting on my cushion, so that gives me a little elevation in my hips. And you can stay with that if you like, or try it out if you aren't already doing that. And we're just going to switch out the feet. A little change in blood flow. Take a deep breath in, bring arms and hands up overhead, little seated sun A, exhale, float the hands back down. Inhale, reach those arms up high. And exhale, float them down. And we'll do 2 more. These hands are going to sink back down, and then we're going to inhale them back overhead, reaching up over the head. Grab a hold of that left wrist with the right hand and take an inhale, come over to the side, stretch through that side body a little bit. Come back to center and just switch sides. I like to pull a little bit on my arms, straighten them a little bit, and then come over to the opposite side. And you might notice one side is tighter than the other. Inhale, come back up to center, interlace the fingers, gently push the palms up towards the ceiling. Big stretch through the arms, biceps, triceps, forearms. Take a breath in here. Exhale, extend the arms out in front of you, big long reach. So we're getting into the upper back here also. You might feel that in the trapezius muscle. Take a breath here. Exhale, release, and circle those arms around behind you, interlace the fingers, and gently pull down behind the back, opening through the shoulders, through the heart. And you'll also get a big squeeze between the shoulder blades. It gets into that spot underneath the shoulder blade that gets really tight and sore. It's a super great stretch for that. Nice, and then gently release. Shake out the arms a little bit. We're going to take an inhale, shrug the shoulders up, exhale, roll them forward. Inhale, shrug up and roll forward. We'll do 2 more of these in this direction. And then shrug those shoulders up and exhale, reverse it. So you're squeezing between the shoulder blades and kind of works out all of the tension in that upper back. Almost imagine it coming out like in a spiral. Getting that out of there. Let's do 1 more. Shrug those shoulders up, exhale, squeeze it out. And then relax it down. All right. Place the right hand next to the right hip, bring the left arm up, take a deep breath. And then exhale, come on over to the side, stretch through that side body, getting down into the obliques and the hip, through the arm. Then inhale, come all the way back up, arms overhead. And exhale, come on over to the other side. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, float those hands down. And now we're going to take the legs and stretch them out in front of us. You can stay on your cushion if you want. I'm going to take it out of my way because I like to get a little bit deeper into my hamstrings by sitting more flat and bringing my back into alignment, letting my spine stack on itself, and taking my scarf or my strap and flexing my feet, take that underneath the feet, stretching through the toes, through the feet, grabbing a hold of both sides of my scarf and pulling it in nice and tight. So getting a nice stretch in the hamstrings and the calves and releasing the knees a little bit, maybe wiggle the toes. This is a modified staff pose. Starts to get into the stretch of the legs. And then just take the left foot out of the strap and leave it around the right foot. Stretch the right leg out to the side. And you can take the left foot and bring it on the inside of that right thigh. So I hold on to both straps with my right hand and then bring the left arm up, taking a nice deep inhale. And exhale, come on over to the side, stretch through that side body. My right foot is flexed, keeping the leg active. Take a breath in here. Exhale, circle the hand around, grab a hold of both straps, both hands, and you can stay tall, or you can begin to fold into this pose a little bit. Just see where it lands in your low back and in your hip. Gaze can be down, inner thigh stretch here. And remember to breathe and notice what's happening with the jaw, maybe what's happening with the mind. Is it getting a little bit more busy? Is the sand rising up a little bit? Are we shaking the glass too much? Take a notice and see what's happening. And hopefully things are staying settled or getting a little deeper. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And we're going to switch sides. So right foot comes inside of the left thigh. Left leg comes out to the side. Place that strap over the left foot. Grab a hold of both straps. Left hand, right arm comes up. Take an inhale. Exhale, come on over to the side. Stretching it out. And then take an inhale, circle that hand around. You can stay tall or sink in. And again, I use my breath to extend a little through the spine. At the exhale, maybe I get a little deeper into the pose, a little deeper into that belly of the hamstring or the hip. And then inhale, come all the way back up. You can set the strap to the side for the moment. And we'll take both legs out wide, coming into a wide-legged straddle. You can flex the feet or point them, or point and flex as you sit here. Sit up as tall as your spine will allow you. The hands can be in front of you, or you can reach them out a little bit. See where you want to land in this pose. Sitting bones are settled on the mat. Great inner thigh stretch. Some people are able to slide their hands out really far in front of them. Sometimes they can fold completely over. If that's in your practice, you're more than welcome to move into that, but just be wise about where your body needs to be. Be compassionate, not forcing anything or causing pain. So again, it's an inhale, extend a little through the spine. Exhale, just gently let everything soften. And then at your next inhale, walk the hands all the way back up. And we'll bring the bottoms of the feet together, finding that cobbler's pose. And cobbler's pose, the knees can be all the way to the floor. Sometimes they're up higher than that. The feet can be close to the sitting bones, or they can be further out in front of you. Just see where you need to be. This is an inner thigh stretch. It's a pelvic floor strengthener. It creates some flexibility in the hips. You can gently push on the insides of the thighs, the elbows if you like, but let it be gentle. But it's not necessary. You can just keep the hands on the feet or on the ankles, and the arms are relaxed. Let your spine be as tall as you can. Sometimes we get restless in this pose and want to flutter our knees around or rock them up and down. Just try to let them be still. Find some stillness in the pose. Being still isn't often a Western way of being in the world. We're always busy, 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 busy. And just finding time to breathe and be still is a super great way to support your practice and find that place of compassion and wisdom. And then just bring the knees back together and the feet flat. Maybe just roll the knees side to side for a second. And then we're going to swing the legs around. Come into a tabletop position. So stacking the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, gaze is down towards the hands. I like to spread my hands pretty wide. Draw in the navel a little bit, so strengthening into the core. You can press into the tops of the feet, or you can curl the toes. Let's see where your feet want to land. What's the most comfortable? What's the most steady and supported in this pose? Don't forget to breathe. Maybe find a little space between the shoulder blades. We'll move into some cow and cat. Taking an inhale, drop your belly down and lift your gaze up. Hips lift, so creating a sway back like a cow. And so we're going to start to warm up our spines. We'll get into the low back. At your next exhale, round the back like a cat, bringing your gaze towards your navel. Push up through the shoulders. Head comes heavy. And then come back into that cow. Inhale, looking forward, dropping the belly. And exhale, round out the back into cat. And let's do 3 more of these. The last one, inhale, looking up. Exhale, round it out. Coming back to a flat back, bring your big toes together, knees come to the outside edges of your mat, and sink your hips back towards your heels. Stretch your arms in front of you and bring the forehead down. Let those arms come out nice and long. Child's pose, a great place to rest for a moment. Maybe feel the spine lengthening as the belly softens. Inhaling those nice long inhales. Exhaling the nice long exhales. I'm going to take a moment to stretch those arms out really long in front of you and then come up on the fingertips. So you're creating this little claw shape with the hands and the fingers are pressing into the mat. This activates the arms. The forehead is still down on the mat. The shoulders are moving away from the ears. So just a little bit of tension in the arms and in the hand. Breathe into those spaces. And then gently release, drop the palms back down, arms come back down. And then just gently walk arms over to the right, create a little C shape with the arms. Reach the left arm out as far as you can, stretching through the left side body. And then inhale, come back to center. And exhale, move to the other side. Arms will come off the mat in this pose. And then come back to center. And we'll come back up. We'll meet back in our tabletop position. Take a moment to stretch your right leg behind you. The toes are down. And then bring the left arm out in front of you. Create a little diagonal balance. Align the hips. And stay with the breath. Draw the belly up and in. And then take your left arm out to the side, to the left, and your right leg out to the right. So a little awkward or pose here. The toes can be down. They don't have to be in the air. And then bring arm back to center, leg back behind you. Take an inhale. And exhale, lower the hand, lower the knee. And just take a moment to sit back towards the heels and palms up on the thighs. Stretch through those wrists a little bit. Pull the shoulders down. Right. We'll break before we do the other side. And then come back into that tabletop. And we're going to take the left leg behind us. So stretch that out, align the hips. And then the right arm comes out long in front of us, as if you were shaking someone's hand. Gaze us down towards that left thumb. We're creating that diagonal line. And then we'll take our right arm out to the right and our left leg out to the left, finding that awkward pose on this side. So we're getting a stretch in the arms and in the inner thighs, finding some balance. And then at your next inhale, bring the arm back forward. Exhale, left leg comes behind you. And bring that hand down, bring that knee down. And sit back again for that hero's pose. All right, stretch out those wrists any way that you like. You can always grab the, take the ring finger and the thumb and wrap it around the opposite wrist and just gently pull. Creates a little space in those joints. And of course, palms up and just press the tops of the hands into the thighs. That's a great stretch too. And then come back to our tabletop. We're going to take and extend the right leg behind us. This time it's lifted. Nice long stretch here. Both hands are on the mat. And we're taking inhale. Exhale, draw your right knee in towards your chest, drawing it up. And then inhale, stretch the leg back out. And exhale, draw it in. One more inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, stretch it out behind you. And at the exhale, draw it up and through. Bringing that right foot out in front of you, bending the right knee, low lunge. Lifting up through the heart. Take a moment to check in with the jaw and the shoulders and the breath. Remembering even when we are in a pose that's a little bit intense, a little bit strong, that we can still find some compassion for our bodies and some wisdom in where we need to be. And take the left hand, plant it next to the right foot and bring the right arm up, twist it out. Little twist here. Arm can be up high, or you can even take it and wrap it around the back if you like, little bind. Looking over that right shoulder. And then bring that arm back up high at the inhale. And then exhale, bring that hand back down. We're going to come up on the ball of the back foot. And just gently begin to walk it forward until you bring your foot flat. And it's the back leg, it straightens, and so does the front leg. A little pyramid pose. I did not cue that very well, so you might want to look at me. Both legs are straight. Both feet are planted. And hands are on the mat, or they can be also on your shin. This is just another way of reversing that stretch into the back of our thigh. Promise this is as high up as we're going to get today. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bend your front leg a little bit. Bring the hands down, step that foot back, coming back down on the knee. And slide the right foot back into tabletop position. And we'll move to the other side. So take that left leg out and behind you, stretching it out. Align the hips. Straighten through the shoulders and be strong in the arms. Take an inhale here. And exhale, draw that knee in towards your chest. Inhale, extend. Exhale, draw the knee in. Inhale, extend. And exhale, draw that knee in. Inhale, extend that leg. And then at the exhale, draw the knee all the way up and through, bringing that left foot forward. Take your time. You can always use your hands to help move the foot into place. Finding that low lunge, lift a little through the heart, tuck the left hip back. Nice stretch through here, through the shoulders, through the neck. Feel that settling as you breathe into this pose. And then take the right hand and set it next to the inside of the left foot. Open the left arm up. Find that little twist. You can find that bind if you like, wrapping the arm around the back. Oh. And then take your time. Inhale, lift that arm up. Exhale, bring that hand back down. And we're going to find that pyramid pose. So again, coming up on the ball of the back foot and just moving that back foot to the center of your mat. Bringing the feet flat, straightening the legs, pyramid pose. Gazes down towards your left foot, and hands can be on the shins, or they can be on the mat. They can even be on your thigh if that's where you need to be. You're going to feel a great stretch in that right or left hamstring, and a good stretch in the right calf. And the nice thing is, in this pose, no matter where your hands are, if you can have your head hanging a little bit below the heart, that's a really good inversion. And then take an inhale, bend that left knee, step that right foot back into that low lunge, drop the right knee. And take your time, bring that left foot back, coming back into our tabletop. Bring the big toes together, knees to the outside edges of the mat. Find that child's pose again, just for a couple of breaths. Forehead comes down. And then inhale, come back into tabletop. Just gonna swing our legs around, come all the way to seated. Knees are bent, feet are flat on the floor, sitting up tall. Yeah. We're gonna find a little boat pose, do a tiny bit of core work. So strengthening for our hara, for our energy centers. And you can have your feet flat or you can be up on your toes. Hands can be behind the thighs or at the back of the lower legs. They can also be behind the hips, or they can be out in front of you. So those are all the options except for one more, which is bringing our legs up. Again, hands can be in different spots, wherever you need to be. So engaging our lower bandhas, our lower belly, gazes forward. Building a little heat in our energy center, in our haras, that space just below the navel. It's that space that allows us to be grounded and connected with the earth. And then whenever you're ready, lower those toes down if they've been lifted and stretch the legs out. Shake them out. Nice job. We're going to come into a version of, or into a a hip stretch, which is a version of pigeon pose, but it's called deer pose, and it gets into the same spaces. So we're going to take and bring the whichever front leg you want to pick first into a parallel to the top of your mat. So it's like an L shape, basically, when you look at it. The foot is flexed. And then the back leg is also in an L shape. So a lot of times people like to bring this leg closer to your front foot, but you want to actually scoot it back a little so that it's also perpendicular or parallel with the front of your mat. And then the back half is bent like an L shape with a flex in the foot. And then hands can be right here. Now, if you notice that you're hanging out really low on your right hip or your right sitting bone, kind of rearrange your sitting bones so they're more even. This knee might come up. That's okay. You just start out by setting it and then finding a better balance in the pelvic area. When you do that, you're going to feel this stretch back here. You're going to feel it in the psoas. You're going to feel it in the groin area. You're going to feel it in the sciatica. Yeah. And you can just stay right here. Sometimes I'll rest my hands on that front thigh, get a little more stretch in this hip, or let my hands rest on the floor. So this is an option, just staying right here. Or you can begin to walk the hands forward, and then you'll come a little bit deeper now into the front hip. You can also walk the hands over to the side. This takes more of the pressure out of the back hip. Coming forward, more pressure. Coming to the side, less pressure. So that's yours to play with any way that you want. And just breathe into this. So inhale, lengthening a little through the spine. Exhaling and letting everything soften and release. And just gently begin to come all the way back up. And we're going to take the back foot and leg and bring it forward. And place that foot on the top of this thigh. So this is coming into full pigeon, and it's just going to kind of slide its way into place. Take your time with it. You can use your hands to help guide everything in. Some of you might be able to come into full pigeon, bringing both feet up on the tops of the legs. But most of us, not so much. We're getting pretty deep into this hip that was in the back of this pose. Taking a few breaths here. And just gently release. Bring the knees together. Feet are kind of out wide. And we'll take a little break there. Sometimes people like to do a little windshield wiper here. That's up to you. It helps to release the hip a little bit. We are going to do the other side. So taking this opposite foot now forward from where you were before. And then coming into that deer pose, that L shape with the legs on this opposite side. Taking your time setting it up, getting the sitting bones in place. You may notice one side's more flexible than the other. But again, you're going to feel this now in the back one, back in here, sciatica, psoas, T-band, everything gets really stretched out here. I was talking today with someone about their resentments and their anger and some of their fear, and that's where we store all of those emotions in our bodies in the hips. The more we can stretch and release some of those emotions, the less likely we are to be in a state of frustration and anger and dysregulation. And then if you want to come forward, like we did on the other side, you can go for that. You can also come over to the side and come into the stretch that way, whatever calls to you, whatever feels right. Listening to the body. Inhale, just extend through those spaces, and exhale, gently release everything. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Bring that back leg up and around. Placing that foot on the top of the thigh, and just take your time. Settling into this. No rush. One knee might be high, one might be low. It's all good. Sit up as tall as your spine will allow. We'll take a few breaths here. And then come all the way back up. Unwind those legs. And let's roll all the way onto our backs. Draw the knees in. Hold on a little bit on the spine. And then bring the feet down flat, knees onto the outside of your mat, and your knees come together. And we'll find that little windshield wiper again here, but on our backs, and just let the knees flop inside, taking turns inside of the mat. Yeah. A little release for those hips after that intense stretch. And then bring the feet back together and let the knees butterfly open. Little Supta Baddha Konasana, one hand on the heart, one on the belly. Release your low back. Take a few long, deep breaths here. Eyes can be closed. Bring knees back together. Stretch your legs out long in front of you. Bring your arms overhead. Big, big stretch. Just through the whole body. Lengthen your spine as far out as you can. So it feels so good just getting it pulled all in each direction. And then bring the hands down, bend the knees one more time. Take the arms out to a T, let the knees drop to the right and gaze to the left. Little supine twist. Chance to release the low back. And coming back to center with the knee. And realign those hips. And drop knees to left, gaze to right. And then bring those knees back to center, squeeze them in one last time. Roll out on that spine. Maybe you lift the forehead towards the knees, a little or a porcupine pose or hedgehog pose. This kind of gets into the belly, releases some of those toxins. And then bring your head down and stretch the legs out long. Feet come to the outside edges of the mat, maybe shake out the legs a little bit. The arms can come down to the sides, the palms can be face up or face down. You also could rest the hands on the belly and the heart. And gently close the eyes. Shavasana, final resting pose. This is our time of rest and meditation to allow the practice to integrate into the body. The practice of wholeheartedly connecting with our bodies and our minds and our spirits and compassion and wisdom. And we'll just rest here for the next few minutes. Enjoy your Shavasana. Just gently begin to deepen the breath, wiggling fingers, wiggling toes. Starting to become aware of your space. And just take your time with the eyes closed, roll onto your right or your left side, bring your knees in towards the chest. Maybe cushioning the cheek on the forearm, cocoon pose. And then take your time, come up to seated. Eyes can be closed. Be back to where we started from. Be back to those deep breaths. Allowing the thumb to rest on the heart. Settling back. And the clarity of the water. The settling of the sand. The ease in the shoulders and the jaw. I express gratitude for this time and space for self-care with compassion and wisdom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale at the chin, drop to the chest. The good in me sees the good in you. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.